So one of the biggest criticisms for fans of AEW, and even the ones that are leaning in the center that watch both products and are just trying to figure things out with AEW and really just buy into the product and watch them as they gain and regain momentum going into 2025, aside from the AEW Dynamite opening theme song change, they are talking about and critical about the Death Riders, the John Moxley-led stable, and their formation, and if they should have a mercy killing or if they should just end this with Cope winning the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and then just move on to something different. So I'm here to talk about that. I am the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling, and I'm about to break down this like a shotgun. Break this down like a shotgun. So the John Moxley-led group, the Death Riders, is interesting because it's an offshoot of the Blackpool Combat Club. The Blackpool Combat Club was assembled with William Regal in mind to lead this faction. He brought together John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Bryan Danielson, and that was the original group. They were a bunch of hard-hitting, no-nonsense badasses that were in the image of William Regal, everything that William Regal encompassed. And they wanted to carry on his legacy. And that lasted for, I don't know, a few months, 8 months, 7 months or whatever. And then they started to add Willer Yuta. They started to kind of expand their group. And then when Bryan Danielson broke off from the group, they then had John Moxley working with Claudio and Wheeler. And then Wheeler left, and then Wheeler was brought back. And there's just been this weird transfer and change, and then suddenly John Moxley came back with this new prophecy that he was spilling these cryptic words and talking about these things like to Tony Schiavone. He said, "This isn't your company anymore," and we all insinuated that maybe he was talking to Tony Khan through Tony Schiavone, where he was telling Tony Khan backstage that this isn't your company anymore, and that this was something that it wasn't in his hands anymore, that he was doing something that he needed to do in order to save AEW. And so then the rumors started going around that maybe Shane McMahon might be behind this new group, and people started doing a lot of digging and a lot of homework. They found pictures of Shane McMahon with Dean Ambrose in the WWE and quotes from Shane McMahon talking about Dean Ambrose, and Shane McMahon then started popping up on the internet with pictures at the airport with the Young Bucks, with Tony Khan. Mercedes Moné had said that she had seen him. So everybody was just with bated breath waiting so that they can see the debut of a McMahon in the competition in AEW, showing up with this new faction that is seemingly trying to take over the AEW. Well, we never saw Shane McMahon, and we never really got an idea of what was behind the cryptic words that John Moxley was speaking of on AEW television. So now we've got all these questions. Now there's a bunch of question marks above this entire story, and we haven't gotten the story beat that re-energized this story, that really revved things up to a new level. What's the a big event that gets people going like, holy shit, I did not see that coming. We're still waiting for that. We have not gotten that yet. And what may that be? Well, that's a great question, and I'm here to talk about that. So theorizing, if you will, on how this storyline will conclude. Obviously, with John Moxley losing the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, which that AEW Championship we have not seen since John Moxley won it. It is in a briefcase, allegedly, because he's carrying it around, he's giving it to Marina Shafir, and we have not seen it yet. So there's a whole bunch of mystery behind it. And where this championship is, why is it in the briefcase? Why was there a duffel bag around it around there a couple of times? There was one point, I think, at the end of one of their pay-per-views where somebody was driving the pickup truck. Pac, Wheeler Yuta, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Marina Shafir, they were all in the bed, and somebody was driving the truck. So, like, who was driving the truck? You know, there was a couple of comments and threads that were popping up on X and on Reddit, and people were kind of guessing to see who might have been driving the truck. We never got an idea who that was either. So maybe that wasn't supposed to be thrown out there in that manner to get us guessing. So then what do you do? So every rumor that I've read states that Darby Allin is slated to beat Jon Moxley for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. When that happens, I have no idea. But that is the idea. They want Darby Allin to dethrone Jon Moxley. And they've been building it up a little bit. Darby Allin has been getting beaten by Claudio Castagnoli. He's kind of been trying to defy the odds. He's been popping up like Sting did with the black and white NWO back in the WCW days, where he's, flying down from the rafters. He's got fire. He's got barbed wire. He's got thumbtacks. He's got, anything that he can, skateboards, anything that he can to try to even the odds here. One thing, if Darby Allin is going to come back and he's going to rally to go against Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, then he's going to need some help. I know Darby Allin is typically a loner, but I have this idea where it could really help the people that help Darby Allin and also Darby Allin to feel more formidable against these Death Riders. And so my idea would be to include the House of Black. Now, the House of Black need a change in character, kind of a revitalization. They're kind of swimming around in uncharted territory here of being labeled just another stable, really. Every time Malachi Black has a singles match, he disappears for months on end. And he never says that he's hurt. It just seems like they don't have anything for him. The same with Buddy Matthews. We've seen Buddy Matthews come out, have stellar matches, just put on great performance, doing press for Australia, and then he disappears. Brody King, constantly going out of his way to put on badass matches, and the crowd loves him. The woofing, the woo, 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 woo. Like, the crowd loves Brody King. He has a couple of matches, had a pretty decent showing in the Continental Classic. I think he was in the Continental Classic. And then he disappears again as well. Julia Hart is the only one from House of Black that consistently has been given some time to put out video packages, and they really got the machine behind her. They see something in her, and I see something, I see some talent, I see some opportunity here with Julia Hart because she's starting to look the part. I think they need to lean in a little bit more on her mysticism and her ability. I would love if she disappears or moves from one side of the ring to the other with the lights out or something, really play into that. They can do a good job with that. If they go full sports entertainment like how they did with Toni Storm, they have their shot at really making a young superstar out of Julia Hart. But with the House of Black, they need to get a change in character. And I think aligning them with Darby Allin, especially with Darby Allin and Brody King, I think that would be such a badass duo. And giving Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews some more, some enthusiasm, some momentum to carry them through. And then so you have Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, Brody King, Darby Allin, and and Buddy Matthews. Did I say that right? Buddy Matthews, Brody King, Darby Allin, Malachi Black, Julia Hart against Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Jon Moxley, Pac, and Marina Shafir. That's a 5-on-5 right there. I think you got some great opportunity to really do something nice with that. And I think it would help revitalize, because just as badass as the Death Riders are, the House of Black are just that more badass, and they're thorough. And Darby Allin right behind them, or right in front of them or whatever, I think would really work. So that would be something that I think would be really nice in keeping the Death Riders strong, but then also getting some strong opposition and getting Darby Allin some help. So if I had the book, if I was just over here fantasy cooking right now, I think it would be a good opportunity to align Darby Allin with the House of Black, give the House of Black a much needed change, and evolve a little bit as characters. Another rumor that I've seen going around a lot lately is that Cope will dethrone Mox, and then Christian Cage would cash in his ticket or whatever, and then beat Cope. I like that idea as well, but that's only if they really feel like there is no salvaging this Death Rider story, which I think they can salvage it. Like I said, that's an important story beat over with the House of Black, where you can really kind of inject a new excitement into this story by putting those groups at opposite ends of the ring. If they feel like they can't salvage it, if they feel like they have nothing nothing else, no juice left in this story, then they can have Cope win. Cope wins the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I don't think you can really go wrong with Cope being a part of the lineage of the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, he's in the pantheon there with a bunch of legends: Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, CM Punk, MJF, Hangman Adam Page, Samoa Joe. I mean, the list goes on. This is an entire, that's a great list of legends, of superstars that have held the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Swerve Strickland, so you can't go wrong with that. So I would definitely, I would definitely not balk at the idea of putting Cope in that group of legends that can go for that are part of that World Heavyweight Championship lineage. If they do that, then they're going to really have to send Jon Moxley away for a while, right? But it would be nice to get some kind of a finality, to figure out what this whole shrouded in mystery type of story for Jon Moxley really is. I mean, what if there is a higher power? What if the higher power is someone like a Sami Callihan? What if the higher power is someone like a Tony Khan? What if the higher powers are the Young Bucks? What if the Young Bucks pulled a Vince McMahon in the NWO? If you remember when Vince McMahon brought the NWO into the WWE after the AOL Time Warner contracts had expired, Vince was shooting promos in his office saying, like, I'm gonna kill it. I'm going to kill my company. And then he injected the poison, which was the NWO. Maybe the Young Bucks can say they got out of Dodge because they wanted Jon Moxley and the Death Riders to put the injected poison into AEW. They didn't like the way AEW, what it was becoming, and they decided that they would try and kill it. So then they're revealed, and this would kind of like continue the thread of the Elite taking over AEW. They can say, we tried to take over AEW, and then instead of getting exhausted trying to run this company into the ground, we decided we just hired Jon Moxley and his goons to come in and just completely kill it. So that would be an interesting tie-in there, and that would explain the year 2024 when the first half you had the Young Bucks trying to take over by attacking Tony Khan, and then they handed the ball off to Jon Moxley and the Death Riders. I think that's an explanation. I mean, they can still use Shane McMahon. I really feel like Shane McMahon is still out there. He has not shown up in the WWE, so for all intents and purposes, he's available, and he can still show up if Tony Khan so chooses, and side with the Death Riders. I mean, you still got that. Another theory that I've seen floated around is Eddie Kingston being involved in this all when Eddie Kingston comes back. But you got to bring Eddie Kingston back. You got to bring the rough, rugged, unfiltered Eddie Kingston back. Not the, Kenta Kobashi, Mitsuru Misawa fan of, Eddie Kingston who just wants to do, Joshi, Japanese, All Japan, New Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah type stuff. He's got to be the gangster that the fans all loved, and he's got to come out and spit. He's got to spit bars, man. He's got to come out and keep it one thou wow and really let the Death Riders know. But then who's going to side with Eddie Kingston? I mean, if I look across at the roster, there's a few people that I would put with Eddie Kingston that I think could do some damage. I would have said Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, but I don't know with the history of Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston if they would work on the same team. But I definitely see Mark Briscoe being of service in a situation like this because he's a tough dude. Hangman Adam Page, I believe, and I think that could work out as well. So I think you can get some pieces behind Eddie Kingston there and help them go out the Death Riders, but the most sense as far as my logic goes, it's the House of Black and Darby Allin teaming up, and maybe add Sting and put Sting in a situation where he might get attacked by Jon Moxley, and that's when Darby Allin comes to the aid. That's when the rest of the Death Riders come out, beat down Darby Allin and Sting. That's when you get the lights out. When the lights come back on, standing in the ring are the House of Black. I think the crowd would come unglued. I think it would be a huge moment, and I think it would really let the House of Black step up a notch, which they need so badly, is to step up a notch, because those guys are upper card to main event type talent that have been stuck at the mid card to lower mid card for a while in AEW, and they need their flowers. And I think Malachi Black is a huge presence in professional wrestling, and he deserves to have that moment where he's up in a high-profile situation. But with Cope and the FTR going against the Death Riders, they're still down one man. So Darby Allin getting involved there, I mean, that's kind of something else that they can do, and then have Darby Allin with Cope, because they have a history. Adam Copeland spoke candidly about when he had his debut. The video package that was played at the beginning before he walked out on the stage for the first time was directed by Darby Allin. They went around Seattle, or was it Seattle or Portland? I think it was Seattle. I forget where it was. It was somewhere in the Northwest, and they filmed I think it was Seattle or something, and they filmed this whole video. So there is some history between Darby Allin and Cope, and then you have the FTR. I think that could be okay. I think they can keep going with that. That could kind of thread the story the way that they seem to be building it. But I'm fantasy cooking, man, and I think that the House of Black would do really good with Darby Allin. I think Brody King and Darby Allin together would be something special, and I would love to see that. But, I'm not running the company. I just thought it was a good idea. I just thought I'd throw that out there. The Death Riders situation it's not toast, okay? It's not like unsalvageable, okay? But it definitely needs a big story beat to kind of bring it back to life again, because I mean it's almost universal like unenthusiasm for this program, and they're gonna have to do something to inject that life back into this program. So they need a story beat, and they need it fast. They need it like they need a new opening theme song for Dynamite. Going with the Pointer Sisters is an odd choice, and every time I hear that song, I think of "I'm so excited, I'm so scared" from Jesse Spano. I mean, if they were going with 80s dance, why not just go Walking on Sunshine or Gloria Love or Sister Sledge's We Are Family, or I've had the time of my life and I owe it all to you. You know what I mean? That might be the ballsiest Tony Khan booking decision yet, is to put "I'm So Excited" as his opening theme. But hey, maybe that was what he had for his theme for his e-wrestling federation back in the 90s. I mean, I know I dabbled in running a little e-fed in the old Rec Sport Pro Fantasy days. My first opening theme song was "No Shelter" by Rage Against the Machine. I almost did, and then I think I did "Sentimental Mood" from John Coltrane, for the role plays and stuff, which were just like the interview promos portion that I would send out, called "Shooting from the Edge." I mean, at least he didn't do Alicia Bridges' "I Love the Nightlife, I Love the Boogie." So, you know what I mean? But you're definitely an interesting choice. If it would have been me for Dynamite, I probably would have went with the Scorpions Dynamite. I think that's fitting. And actually, if you go over to my shorts, I have a custom-made AEW Dynamite intro video that is out there, and you should go check it out. And that is, I've done it to the Scorpion song Dynamite. That's how I would have done the opening theme. You guys let me know what you think of that. And as far as what you think of the Death Riders, are they salvageable? What do you guys think? Do you think that working Darby Allin with the House of Black is good, or maybe it should be Darby Allin with FTR, rated FTR, or whatever their name is? You guys let me know in the comments what you think of that. Thumbs up on the way out. It keeps me going in the algorithm, you guys. And definitely, if you want more content from the Wrestling Old Head, you have entered the portal of pro wrestling and you're like, where is more content? All you got to do is hit the bell on the notification and stay tuned for more.